Disclaimer: the story of John Titor is a popular internet phenomenon, but there is no concrete evidence to support the claim that he was a time traveler from the future. The information in this video is based on online resources and is for entertainment purposes only. We do not endorse any specific belief or theory about the story of John Titor. Viewers are encouraged to form their own opinions based on the available information. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will continue exploring the intriguing tale of John Titor. When netizen asked John Titor about the winner of the Super Bowl in 2001, Titor responded by asking if it rained in New York on June 4, 1932. It turns out that it did rain on the day of the Super Bowl in 2001. It's unclear whether Titor was a real-time traveler or simply guessed with a 50-50 probability. He even revealed that he had once wanted to go back in time to see Jesus, but later found that the difference was too great after calculating the error value, since there was a high chance that he would end up in a world where Jesus had not yet been born. John Titor ultimately abandoned his plan to go back in time to see him. It's worth noting that, in addition to calculating the error value, time travelers must also travel on an empty stomach. This is because time travel relies on the C204 machine created by the General Electric Company, which uses gravity manipulation to travel through time. When the traveler inputs their destination, coordinates, into the machine, it will begin to operate, accompanied by a warning sound indicating that the traveler is about to embark on a journey through time and space. Once the journey begins, the traveler will feel an upward pulling force rather than forward motion. John even described it as feeling like riding an upgraded elevator and experiencing 2G acceleration. Although this acceleration does not cause too much physical strain on the body, John recommended that travelers avoid eating before traveling if possible. Furthermore, John mentioned that during the process of time travel, the car is merely a container and does not actually move. In fact, the C204 machine generates microsingularities on either end of the car's exterior, which form a protective shield to prevent the car from being crushed by strong gravity while also preserving oxygen for the people inside. However, John stated that travelers must carry additional oxygen tanks to ensure their safety during the mission. As mentioned earlier, the C204 machine can only travel through time and not through space, so travelers would place the C204 on the car and drive to their destination after traveling to the correct time. The photo provided shows John's Chevrolet when he traveled to 1975. We can see the C204 machine placed on the front passenger seat. In another photo, we can even see that the change in gravity fields during the machine's activation can bend laser light, which further supports Einstein's theory that when the gravity field is large enough, even space and light can be bent. Regarding future events, John Titor mentioned several significant things in his later messages. He introduced the world of 2036, where people began to return to nature after the occurrence of the Third World War. But this did not mean that technology would regress. Instead, people preferred a more community-based lifestyle compared to urban living. John even mentioned that he couldn't imagine living hundreds of miles away from his parents. Therefore, there will no longer be large shopping malls dominating the entertainment industry, and the television and film industries will no longer be the main players. However, the internet will still exist, and people will start producing their own programs. Hasn't this already happened? In the food industry, where there will no longer be centralized production in large factories but rather a shift towards local self-production. And sales? Religion will still exist, and in fact, after a major disaster, people will be more willing to approach God. However, at that time, religion will no longer be primarily focused on collective religious activities, but rather on putting God in one's heart. People will become more united, and conflicts will begin to decrease. The United States will no longer be an independent country but will be divided into 5 federations. The monetary system will still exist, but there will be no income tax. In terms of nature, due to the reduction of industrial activities, the rate of glacier melting will slow down slightly. But glaciers in both the North and South Poles will still melt. Perhaps some of the laws of nature will not change with different times and spaces. Titor purportedly traveled through time from 2036 to 1975. Then returned to 1998 and 2000, before finally returning home to 2036 in 2001. The question remains whether he arrived back in the same timeline or a different one. In some theories, each time travel event creates a new timeline, or parallel universe, separate from the original timeline. In this case, when he returns to 2036, he would be returning to a different timeline than the one you left from in 2036. On March 24, 2001, after staying for 5 months, John Titor left his last post, saying that he would soon leave this world line and that this would be his last post. Many people asked me during my travels whether time travel was true, and where other travelers were. I really couldn't answer the question. It's a bit like when you see someone's car break down. Some people may not stop and lend a helping hand, because they are afraid of exposing themselves to danger. We are the same. If we really exposed our identities, we would very likely put ourselves in great danger. And doing so would be meaningless. Now I am ready to go on my way to 1998. And continue to try to communicate with all of you, even though I already know that you will not believe me. That concludes the story of John Titor. Thank you for tuning in to both episodes of this series.